Neat Nation, happy Monday. Welcome back to the Droopy Whiskey Show. Another video drop where today we're doing a abbreviated What's the Deal, maybe a simplified What's the Deal. I've talked so much about Buffalo Trace Distillery because I like the juice and because it's people have different opinions on it. It's a fun thing to talk about because people generally get riled up. Not that I'm a fan of conflict, that actually the antithesis of that. I'm not really into just causing strife, stirring up dissent, discord. Discourse is fine. Anyway, I like it when people are happy. But talking about Buffalo Trace is fun, and we're going to do that today specifically with this bottle, which actually looks like this, generally speaking, and that is Elmer T Lee. Shout out to my friend Ricky Banky on Instagram at RickBRolling, which is a killer username, for supplying me this sample of Elmer T Lee. What's the deal with Elmer T Lee? Well, it's a single barrel bourbon from Buffalo Trace Distillery. That's not terribly special. Excuse me. Because by me, I have other single barrel bourbons from Buffalo Trace Distillery. This one, Blantons, this is mash bill number 2 from Buffalo Trace Distillery. This is also mash bill number 2, the Elmer T Lee. So, rewind here. Buffalo Trace has two mash bills. One of them is standard Buffalo Trace mash bill, which is Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare and E.H. Taylor. And then mash bill number 2, the products under that, the brands actually, are owned by Age International, then distributed by Buffalo Trace. And in mash bill number 2 is Blantons. I mean, this is probably the most famous product for sure. And then Elmer T Lee, Hancock's Reserve, and Rock Hill Farms. The question today, and answering the question, what is the deal with Elmer T Lee, is to talk a little bit about the specs. Talk a little bit about the profile compared to some of these other products from Buffalo Trace, because Elmer T Lee is a secondary monster, as are most products from Buffalo Trace Distillery. The MSRP on this just a few years ago, like $30 to $40. Nowadays, it's like a $200 bottle. It's Weller 12 all over again. But the deal with Elmer T Lee, at least in part, is that it's nowhere close to 12 years old. The rumor on this, the non-age stated age statement, is 5 to 7 years. That's not very old. I mean, Blanton's itself is also not very old, generally in the 6-year region. And I doubt that Rock Hill Farms is very old either. None of these have age statements. But why do we have Elmer T Lee at 90 proof, same mash bill as Blanton's, which is at 93 proof, same mash bill as Hancock's Reserve, which is 88.9 proof? That seems unnecessary, especially when you can't find any of these products. Maybe let's just make Blanton's or something and have it be available for people. That might be too easy. Or that might not generate the brand power and hype. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge. Before we get into tasting this, rewind on who Elmer T Lee was. Former master distiller for Buffalo Trace. He retired in the 1980s, but remained around, part of the company, doing his thing, crushing it, helping with single barrels, doing the tasting. He remained master distiller emeritus. That sounds like a disease. The E word, that kind of master distiller. That's what he was until he died in 2013. There was a special edition released in honor of to celebrate in honor of him after he died. That was 93 proof because he died at 93 years old. This is not that. This is pretty sure it's last year's edition of the standard 90 proof. Elmer is the guy who gets credited for first creating the Blantons product. The first single barrel, the first sold single barrel, the first single barrel product that people were able to buy. Came from Buffalo Trace, was Blantons, made by Elmer. So then they're like, hey, Elmer, great job, man. We're going to make Blantons 2.0, and we're going to call it Elmer's T Lee's. Now let's get into the quality of the product. Again, I haven't opened this Blantons. I'm not going to open it now. It's the last one. But I wanted to taste this up against some other Buffalo Trace products because generally speaking, I find very, very little difference between the Mash Bill number 1 products and the Mash Bill number 2. Buffalo Trace, at least a good Buffalo Trace single barrel, kind of tastes like Blantons. This Hancock single barrel is very, very good. And you could have told me that it was a good Blanton single barrel, and I would have been like, yeah, because 4 proof points are hard to discern sometimes. So, today, in breaking down what's the deal with Elmer, I want to answer the question, is it even worth seeking? Like, if you have other Buffalo Trace single barrels, do you really need to seek out these other brands? Is there a big enough profile change? I might be biased as I approach this question, because my experience has led me to believe, again, they're just not that dissimilar. Okay, let's get into this. I haven't done any homework on this. It's been a while since I had old Elmer. A little tasty taste of his juice. Nose is nice. It's interesting, like there's a peppermint, but then a nougat and a strawberry and floral honey. It's anything but deep. Like, it's not oaky in the least, nor would I expect a 5 to 7 year old bourbon to be oaky. But it's really sweet and dynamic. I think I could pull flavor notes out of this for days. It smells good. Bottom line, it smells good. And it tastes good. It tastes like Buffalo Trace. The palate on this is so soft. Like barely whiskey, barely bourbon. It's the least bourbon-y bourbon. I've said that about Buffalo Trace. Not that it's not delicious. It is. It's sweet. But it's light and fruity and floral. It's a dainty, frilly profile. I mean, it's a pinky up kind of thing. It's got some vanilla, but the sweetness, it's not really confection or sugar, barely gets to caramel, maybe. I mean, we're in like vanilla simple syrup, watered down honey. It's just so light. Like, if there was a Jedi that exemplified the light side, it's lighter than that. I don't know if that's left or right, but lighter. So, sweet, floral, light fruits, like I said, touch of strawberry, white grape, maybe a suggestion of kind of a leatheriness, but not musty. Just a touch chewy. All right. Now let's get to this Hancock's. I wanted to hit this next because it's not age stated. The Eagle Rare is age stated. Yeah, I know Eagle Rare is not Mash Bill number 2. I know Eagle Rare packs some oak. I know it has some oakiness in the profile. Elmer's totally lacking. I wanted to hit this Hancock's, also not age stated. But when I had it, it blew me away. I was like, you know what? For an 88.9 proof product, this is rocking and rolling. And I do think that this has graduated from the watered down honey, simple syrup, and sweetness to we're in full caramel mode here. And you get some baking spices, allspice primarily, a little bit of pumpkin pie. We're short of cinnamon. We're not into the cinnamon mode. If we're getting a little bit of pepper on the finish, it's white pepper, not black pepper. It's more creamy. It's got better viscosity than our friend Elmer has in a lighter proof product. Hancock's, it might be a touch older. The color on this particular pick is pretty nice. Pretty nice. It's got, it looks like it has some barrel character where the oakiness isn't really pronounced. I mean, you might get a little bit of barrel char on the finish, but it's a suggestion of barrel char. Something a little funkier on the Hancock's too. I mean, it might get to be touching that classic bourbon profile just a smidge. Not nutty, but a little funky, a little earthy. Out of these two, I'm digging on Hancock's a little bit more. Getting the Eagle Rare. The oak is evident on the nose. It's clearly got a little more barrel, a little more age. Fruit's a little bit richer too. Cherry's a note that often gets called out in Eagle Rare. And I completely agree with that. Like, it's solid. It's a solid oaky cherry, not nutty, not funky, not spicy bourbon. There's nothing in the least bit spicy about the Eagle Rare. Whereas I did get, like I said, just a touch of spice on the Hancock's. I dare say you could give me Hancock's and tell me it was Eagle Rare, and I'd be like, yeah, maybe so. And vice versa. You give me Eagle Rare and tell me it was Hancock's, and I'd be like, yeah, maybe so. Elmer, though, is just like, no. You could give me Elmer and tell me it was Benchmark Single Barrel, and I would say, yeah, okay. Oh, speaking of which, a little Benchmark Single Barrel. Got a little Benchmark Single Barrel here. Might as well throw this one in as well. A quick addition. Yeah, light. Maybe a little bit grainy. You know, not quite as refined as the Elmer. But we're in the same category of light, watered down honey, florality, grapes, nice. I mean, again, nice. This one definitely is a little bit grainier, not as refined on the finish, but very, very similar in profile to the Elmer. It just leaves you asking the question, what are we doing here? I mean, I feel like I'm getting a little bit, not fed up, not disenfranchised, but just left asking the question, why? A lot. Why is there a shortage of these products? Why are there 5 different, or whatever, 4 or 5 different mash bill number 2 brands when you can't get any of them? What's the point? Especially when there's so much continuity between the flavor profiles. I don't have Blantons here, but I got the Blantons straight from the barrel up there. If I watered that down, it would fit right in here. I didn't initially plan to just hate on Elmer T Lee, and I don't. Like I said, I think it's good. I mean, it's $30, $40 good for sure. And it's a great, dare I say, beginner bourbon. I just don't know that it's much more than that. If I saw it on the shelf, would I buy it? Yeah, for like 50 or 60 at the most, but that's only because I can't get it. I don't think it's $50 or $60 good, and it's certainly not $200 good. I mean, I've got barrel picks. We did a barrel pick yesterday, and some of the stuff from these craft distillers just pack in so much flavor, so much fruit and oak and spice and funk, and it's awesome. Like, all that stuff is out there for the getting. We could go support some really rad small distillers. That would be a really good way to spend our money versus dropping multiple Franklins for Elmer T Lee on the secondary market. Like, I just can't. I mean, if you did spend an inordinate amount of money to procure a bottle of Elmer, thinking that it might live up to the hype and the secondary value, God help you. Maybe you heard it here first. I hope it's not the first place you heard it. If you picked it up off the shelf at MSRP, I think you'll really enjoy it. I think it's a good bourbon. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed that take. I mean, I promise I'll bounce back next week. Lots of fun stuff coming from the Droopy Whiskey channel. See my new Driftless Glen sign up there. We just got back from a barrel pick. That's the one we were on yesterday. Took a bourbon and a rye. The rye it's so good. It's absolute fire. And then there may be a couple bottles of our latest pick. I'll throw the link, if they're still available, down here in the show notes below from Starlight, a Pinot de Charon finished bourbon. And that is thick candy. Dark, molassesy, oaky, exquisite, desserty, drippy goodness. You're welcome. You can get that from Sealbox. Blake, Sealbox, great guy. Again, shout out to Ricky for sponsoring the show by providing a sample. You too if this is up your alley, can sponsor an episode of the Drew P. Whiskey Show or Thursday night live stream by sending samples, providing blinds. It's fuel for content and education, which is good. If you want more, like, comment, and subscribe, and then follow me on Instagram at Drew P. Whiskey. I've got a sample here of Japanese release Wild Turkey 8-year 101. I might just do an Instagram live right now. So if you're watching this, you can go to Instagram and watch my previously recorded Instagram live talking about Wild Turkey 101. Last piece of business, Thursday nights, 8 o'clock, live streams here with Brian Bikey at a Band of Bourbon. Just fantastic times. We got another blind from our boy Eric Sawyer. 4 whiskeys, 1 sip. Everyone knows the rules. Come hang out with us. Till then, y'all, do your thing and keep it neat.